Hi everyone, I'm Harvey Mysel, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I know the information you'll hear will help you towards a successful living kidney transplant experience. I'm a 2-time transplant recipient, both from living donors. As a result of what I learned, I started the nonprofit organization, the Living Kidney Donors Network. Our primary mission is to help those who are in need of a kidney transplant become successful at finding a living donor. So let's get started. I've spoken to many kidney donors, and I've inquired, how did the person you donated to ask you to donate? They respond by saying, no one asked me to donate. I heard about their need, and I wanted to learn more about the process. I wanted to help them. So don't think of it as asking someone to donate. Think of it as just telling your story. The more people who hear your story, the more likely it is that your donor will find you. Storytelling is something we regularly do in our lives. We do it every day. We tell stories about a good or bad experience we had at a restaurant, or a great movie we saw. This is something we're used to doing, so don't think of it as a big hurdle that you need to overcome. One of the ways to practice your story is to write it out. And I do mean write it out with pen and paper. Writing is a different experience than typing on a computer. You'll share more from what's in your heart. And what you write is important for developing a closer connection to the person that reads it. Then you can type it once you've written it out so you can use it electronically. When you print out your story or use it electronically, include a photo of yourself. Having a photo will result in a closer connection to someone that sees it. Videos are used effectively to tell your story. Keep it short, under 3 minutes. Under 1 minute is ideal. Everyone's attention span is very short these days. So learn as much as you can about living kidney donation. Here are some basic facts, some that you could use in your elevator speech. A kidney from a living donor lasts 12 to 20 years on average, versus 8 to 12 years for a deceased donor. That living kidney transplants are very successful. After 1 year, 97% of the kidneys transplanted are still functioning. Here's another important fact to know. Because of the new drugs that have been developed for recipients, you don't need a perfectly matched donor. In the past, it was important for a donor to be a blood relative, and most donors were. Now, less than half of kidney donors are blood related. When reading successful transplant stories, you'll see that living kidney transplants are for all types of people. You'll see Black, white, Hispanic, rich, poor, younger, and older individuals receive transplants. You'll see a Black person donating to a white person, and vice versa. So if you're thinking that your race or age is a limiting factor, you need to start to think differently. You can do this. I want to talk about the different groups that you can reach out to. There are 4 main groups I'll discuss, and I want to share with you ideas on how to get your story out to each of these. The first group is family members, friends, and other people you're in touch with. Social media will be the second group I'll talk about. The third group are the people you meet every day. In the last group, I'll talk about opportunities that you may not have thought about. And I'll show you some creative ways to spread the word and encourage you to get creative with different ways you can spread the word about your kidney campaign. Let's talk about how you can educate family members and friends. Emailing or texting is probably the simplest way to contact someone or a group of people. I often hear when I speak to someone that they already sent out an email. Sending out one email is not enough. You need to email updates often, every week or 2, so your story is reinforced. I've spoken to many donors and asked them if they responded the first time they heard about their recipient's need. Most say no. Some didn't take action for months. You need to continue to provide constant updates to these individuals. I have a resource called Tuesdays with Updates. It works like this. If I was sending out an email update, I would put in the subject line, Tuesdays with Harvey. On a Tuesday, I would send out an email giving everyone an update on where I'm at. It could be one line. It could be a link to an article about organ donation. Or you can just say, I'm still searching for a living donor. Here's another way you could use your story. Reach out to your local newspaper and TV station. Find the journalist that writes human interest stories. Most have one these days. You have a great human interest story to share with others. And if they don't respond, send it again. When you do get a story written, then you want to share it with everyone. Post it on Facebook and other social media sites, and ask others to share it too. Let's talk in more detail on how to be effective when posting on Facebook, Instagram, and using other social media platforms. Similar to the suggestion I made when emailing, you need to post often. You could use the ideas that are provided in the Tuesdays with updates. For those who are not active on Facebook, it's likely you know someone that is. Ask them to like or share your postings or to post for you. This is how you take advantage of the exponential growth on Facebook and other platforms. And make your postings short. When I see a long posting on the Living Kidney Donors Network Facebook page, I tell the person to rewrite the posting and make it shorter. Again, people have a short attention span. I encourage you to develop a website for your kidney campaign. Websites allow you to provide much more information than Facebook does. You can also use your website link when you're posting. If you're not familiar with how to use or develop a Facebook page or a website, you can ask if there's someone at your local library that could be of help. Or reach out to the technology department at your high school and ask if a student could be of help for you. For developing a website on your own, there are many online services that are free of charge or just charge a small minimum fee to develop a website. For example, there's Squarespace, GoDaddy, and Wix, and there are many others that you'll find too. Now, let's discuss how to be effective when meeting people in person. We often meet strangers where we could start a conversation. When we're in line waiting for something, or we're interacting while making a purchase. There's often this silent time. Take that opportunity to tell your story. If you're thinking, should I tell my story now? You might have lost the moment. Now, let's expand on how to reach more people that are outside these groups, or what I call getting creative. I suggest getting a business card printed. On the front side, it has the typical information. You should add a photo of yourself if you have one. On the back of the card, you could tell your story. I encourage you to put the contact information for the Living Donor Coordinator at your transplant center on the back of the card. Some people may not want to contact you at first. They might want to learn more about the transplant process, or they may want to go through the whole evaluation process to be sure that they could donate. They don't want to disappoint you should they not be accepted as a donor, or they may want to surprise you that they've been approved. Develop a flyer that has your story. It could be put on a bulletin board or attached to the emails that you send out. Those that want to help can put these on bulletin boards where they live. Many places have bulletin boards. Coffee shops, grocery stores, bulletin boards are everywhere. You'll see more ideas, for example, using t-shirts, car signs, either a magnetic sign for the side of the car or one for the back of the window. A message like this will reach many people. There are front lawn signs, the type you see in political campaigns, and billboards too. What often expands on the exposure using these types of signs is when a journalist, print or TV, sees one of these, a t-shirt or some other item, and they write a story about it. I encourage you to get creative, like the woman in this photo, who put her message on her graduation cap. It's one of the most creative ideas I've ever seen. I got emotional the first time I saw this photo. Some of the suggestions I've made can be expensive. For example, the billboard. You could raise money for expenses you incur for your kidney campaign. Gofundme is a popular website where you could raise money. For the donor, any tests that are related to being evaluated, the surgery for the transplant, are post-op are covered by the recipient's health insurance. The transplant center should tell the donor before a test is done if it won't be covered by the recipient's insurance. If you have questions about any of these expenses, you should ask your DaVita social worker. In some of the kidney campaign photos, you might have seen someone reference that they're looking for a certain blood type. Blood type is important for compatibility, but I suggest not discussing blood type during your search. Here are the reasons why. Many people don't know their blood type. Others are mistaken about their blood type. They think they're one blood type and they end up being another. Also, there are paired exchanges, or what they call swaps. Let the transplant center confirm someone's blood type. That's their job, not yours. Regarding paired exchanges, here's a simple example of a two-way paired exchange. They're also called swaps. A paired exchange is needed when you have a donor that's not compatible with you. In this example, donor 1 and donor 2 are not compatible with their recipients, but they find out that donor 1 can donate to donor 2's recipient and donor 2 to recipient 1. Another challenge you might incur is to overcome some of the myths and misconceptions about living donation. One is, I need 2 kidneys to have a normal life. We only need 1 kidney. In fact, 1 in 750 people are born with 1 kidney, and their life expectancy is the same as someone who's born with 2. After donating a kidney, I can't have children. Many women give birth after donating a kidney. And living kidney donors have to take anti-rejection drugs. It's the recipient that needs to take these drugs, not the donor. Someone over 60 can't donate a kidney. It's not someone's age, it's their medical condition and their good health. Many people in their 70s have donated a kidney. Another is, I won't be able to drink liquor after I donate. The liver is the organ that breaks down alcohol. Although you should be responsible when drinking alcohol, it's the liver that processes it. People with tattoos can't be a kidney donor. Having a tattoo does not preclude someone from being a kidney donor. Not only are there myths and misconceptions, don't assume that everyone you speak to is knowledgeable about kidney donation. I've talked about practicing. Here's a typical life experience that I'm sure you'll encounter, or something a little similar, that shows why you need to practice. So if you're at a party or at some other location and people say, "Hi, how are you?" Here's an opportunity to give them your story. Here's the story that I gave when I was in need of a kidney transplant. They would say to me, "Hey, Harv, how are you?" Well, I'm not sure you know, I'm in need of a kidney transplant. I've known for some time now, but I haven't been sharing it with people. But I have this genetic condition. It's called PKD, polycystic kidney disease, and my kidney function is declined. And it's declined to a point where I'm in need of a kidney transplant. So I'm letting people know about that situation and that I'm pursuing a kidney from a living donor. One story I particularly like was a neighbor of mine. One day he decided to tell a person who was mowing his lawn that he was in need of a kidney transplant. Once he did, he didn't think much about it. But that person went home that night and told his girlfriend. She immediately said, "I'm going to donate my kidney to him." And yes, she did. This is not 1 in a million. They're happening every day, only because someone in need or their advocate told their story. There are good people that want to help, but they can only do so if they hear your story. So when you tell your story, you'll get a wide range of how people respond. Some might be shocked and don't say anything or really don't know what to say, but others will start asking questions. And that's when you can start giving them more information. Talk about living donation, that living donors do well after a transplant, that they have minimum risk in the future. You could use some of what I've said for your elevator speech, but you need to personalize yours. It needs to come from your heart. You may be thinking that the thought of telling your story makes you uncomfortable. something you don't think you can do. What if I told you that you probably had a similar experience in your life before, where you needed to develop your story, tell it to many people, and that you were likely under a fair amount of pressure while telling your story? If you're like most people, needing to search for employment made you uncomfortable. And when you think about it, you likely went through the same steps. When looking for employment, you needed to accept the reality of your situation and move forward. You need to do the same thing when searching for a living donor. When looking for employment, you researched options, similar to learning about living kidney transplants. You wrote a resume, which is basically your story. I'm suggesting you do the same here. And when looking for employment, you networked, because the more people you know and talk to, the more likely it is you are going to land a job. And we've discussed the importance of letting as many people as possible know about your pursuit for a living donor. So remember the success you had when you landed a job, and let it carry over and motivate you now. You can do this. I would like to talk about advocates and how they can help you with your kidney campaign. They can increase the number of people who hear about your situation. They could also help in many other ways. They could attend medical appointments with you so you can take notes and make sure that they're following the important instructions. They can organize and send out your Tuesdays with update. Advocates are often making the recipient donor introduction, and in general are not getting enough credit for doing so. To summarize what I've discussed, here are the 3 points you should focus on. Learn as much as you can about living kidney donation. Find supporters, advocates. When someone says, "What could I do to help?" tell them they can be an advocate and let them know how they can share your story. And practice so you can tell everyone about your situation. Make your first step in your journey a small one. Maybe it's a short email to a few people, family members or friends, or you tell a coworker about your situation. Another small step could be a Facebook posting about your journey. As part of your message, you can even express how difficult this is for you. When people read a heartfelt message, it can touch them in ways that will make them want to help. I know your donor is out there. They just haven't heard your story yet. There are good people that want to help, but they can only do so if they know about your situation. Every day, there are stories written about people who've received a kidney transplant from a living donor. Don't hesitate to send me an email if you have questions. You'll find my email address in the resources that are being provided. Let me know what I can do to help you. As you've heard, I care deeply about helping others and hope I've helped you. I wish you the very best in your journey.